Hello and welcome to another interview from Impact. My name is Dale Jannels. I'm delighted today to have Adrian Moloney, who is Sales Director of OneSavings Bank. Welcome, Adrian.
Hi, Dale.
We've known each other a very long time. Been in the market a long time. In fact, since we started working, I think we were both underwriters you were in a lender and I was in a packager.
Yes.
So we've had a good relationship over the years. Things have changed a lot, and especially in the last 12 months, you yourself have seen a merger happen in the marketplace. Yeah. And what's the outcome of that? How's it been? Where is the outlook now?
Well, it's taken a little while. Obviously, the merger was confirmed in October. I mean, from a broker's point of view and from Impact's point of view, there is no difference at all. We've kept all of the brands that are out there, and the brands do stand for different things. Yeah. Obviously, behind the scenes, we look at ways of making the experience better and learning the best pieces from each other. So really positive news. Sure. It becomes a big lender in the overall mortgage market, and by far probably the biggest lender in the in the specialist market. And of course, the beauty of what we do is we only deal with intermediaries.
Yeah, of course. And do you see others taking the Precise and Kent Reliance sort of model moving forward? Do you think there's going to be more consolidations over the coming years?
You've seen some consolidation already. A couple of other banks merged over the course of the last 12 months. I think some of the other lenders in the specialist space are not actually banks. So they're specialist lenders and rely on different methods of funding. I think what you're seeing in the market anyway is more competition from different lenders. Sure. Whether they decide to capitalise on an amalgamation or a growth, it's really difficult to comment on.
Sure. And what about, you mentioned changes this year. Obviously, we've got Brexit coming in in
a
few hours' time from our point of view. Where do you see this affecting our funding lines and bits in 2020?
I don't think there's any challenge in terms of funding. There's certainly no demand, no shortage of demand, it would appear, in terms of mortgages. And actually what you're seeing since the turn of the election, I think, is some positivity in the mortgage market. Certainly, what we're hearing from some of the larger estate agents that we deal with is they've had a real hot start to the start of 2020.
That's really positive.
Yeah,
really
it's good news.
So let's just take it a little bit more into sort of the Kent Reliance world.
Yeah.
Kent Reliance have been Impact's biggest lender for a long time, actually.
Thank you.
Working really well. You've got some great products out there. Do you see that model continuing? On-site underwriters in our offices, exclusive products maybe? Where are you looking at for 2020?
I think the big bit with Kent Reliance and what we've learned over recent years is obviously we have people who want to access us in different ways, and we have a great relationship with Impact and obviously the on-site underwriter here. I think what we've really tried to focus on in recent years is building the service so that it's reliable, it's trustworthy. I guess the consistency of decisions that come out of our lender are important. And we are a big player in the specialist Buytolet market, and we're growing our presence in the residential markets,
Sure. And very specialist in the HMOs, limited companies, etc. Is it somewhere that a broker should really be concentrating on, more into the specialist side, with the high street guys having the possibilities of taking away a lot of business with regards to PTs and remos and stuff?
Yeah, I think you need to know what you're doing. I think there's certain people that focus on the buy-to-let market. HMOs, as you say, are becoming more prevalent. People are looking to diversify their investments. I think it's, if you're not comfortable, there are other experts out there that can help you, such as yourselves.
Sure. And with regards to residential side, you do the residential side with Kent Reliance as well?
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of business? Because it's not a massive part of our sector, I would say, right now.
No, I think what's happened with Kent Reliance is it's been so successful in the buy-to-let market that you kind of forget that it does a lot of good things in residential. I mean, we are very good at what I call the complex prime market. So some of those larger, more bespoke cases, perhaps for professionals looking for higher LTVs in the central London market. We do an awful lot in shared ownership. That's become a really good market for us. And I think that will continue to grow as you see, I guess, some of the changes in the Help to Buy market.
Sure, and you're quite happy to do interest only,
over
£1 million.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we pick those cases up quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a good product. It's a good product to have. And I think right now, from the specialist point of view, any broker who is not into the specialist sector really needs to educate themselves.
Yeah, great.
To offer these sort of products, especially lending into later life, interest only over certain loan to values and so on.
I think the specialist market has become the intermediary market, or certainly a bigger part of the intermediary market. We know that on the high street there is a compression in margin, and perhaps we're seeing some lenders in that space looking to try and, I guess, push people down the direct route, and execution only, if that comes in a bigger way, could of course affect that share of the broker market.
which brings us on to technology, because I think that's the way the execution-only side is going to really come into it. Now, you're looking at systems this year, making life a little bit more easier with regards to Kent Reliance and how you can submit business.
I think technology moves at quite a fast pace, not just in the direct bit that we were talking to there. Also, we're focusing, and not just us, I'm sure, on how we can make the intermediaries' life easier. We're sort of, I guess, 6-7 years into originating through Kent Reliance again. And it just tells you how quick technology moves, because we'll be updating our platform over the course of this year, I guess, to make the broker journey even easier.
Okay. Which is great, because I think you need to get to that proposition, obviously dealing with you on a day-to-day basis. There was a lot of hype about technology in 2019, which didn't really come to fruition. Where do you see it over the next year to 3, 4, 5 years' time?
Look, I think technology will move on. I think the whole bit around APIs is gathering some pace. Obviously, you guys know a lot about technology here as well. I think from the point of view of the specialist market, it's harder to make it a straight through process. I think you'll see that sort of prime space be the first bit to kick on with that. But I think as lenders, we're all sitting there, particularly in the specialist market, and watching and see what happens. Because I think you don't, in some ways, almost want to be the first mover. But as a specialist lender, we can be quite nimble in what we want to do and move with that if that's what the market drives.
Sure, and I think right now also there's a lot of things out there that confuse the brokers.
Correct.
There's a lot of people promising a lot of things that may or may not happen. And why would you want to have 15 different direct debits coming out when you can have one system that does the whole thing? Which brings us on to realistically, volume-wise this year, if the technology is in there, what sort of volumes do you think would actually go through? Because there's a lot of different calculations between actually the lending values, but also that PTs are being missed. And
So
where do you see volumes?
So I think that they were saying the buy-to-let market was probably slightly up or stable last year, which is a good sign. Okay. I think one of the challenges for the market is the amount of longer term fixed in the remortgage space that's taking place. So, historically it would have been every 2 years, perhaps you'd see a rate review, people moving rate, and that would be classed as a remortgage or even a PT. Obviously the difference between 5-year fixed rates and 2-year money is pretty minimal at the moment. It's really competitive in the longer term fixed market. So you come to a point of the market, whatever year that may be, where actually you're reliant on getting over that year's hurdle and 5 years going on. I think the positives, as I said earlier, is you're starting to see a pickup in the purchase market, which we didn't have perhaps over the last 18 months with Brexit, I guess, hanging on the horizon.
Sure. I think it's a bit of the unknown, I think, this year. So volume-wise, have you got a figure that you could put into the lending market? What it will be this year?
I think it would just, the UK finance figures I don't think are out for the end of last year. I think it might be slightly up on last year. I think Buytolet will be broadly the same.
Right, okay. What about innovations this year? Where do you see the different product gaps in the marketplace where people might come in? There's quite a few lenders wanting to launch and have quite a few banking licenses applied for. Where do you see things this year?
Well, it's been interesting because I think you've seen a lot of lenders come to market, particularly in the specialist space actually, and I don't see a lot new. I see a lot of new lenders coming in that potentially come in cheaper but go up the risk curve, and I don't really see that as innovation. I see perhaps it's almost easy. It's easy to lend money badly, I think, could be the same. I think in terms of gaps in the market, I think you'll still see growth in the portfolio buy-to-let sector and the professionalising of that, because more professional landlords will look at incorporation, I think it's fair to say, because they really get hit with the tax bite this year. Yeah. I think you'll see growth in later life lending at some stage. That market inevitably has to kick on, and I think you'll see lenders look at different ways they can support that market as well.
Okay, and you mentioned incorporation there. Yeah. Are you seeing the 1 or 2 house or buy-to-let owner selling those properties, or are they actually looking to go into the professional model? I
don't think we've seen a wholesale exit of the buy-to-let market. And actually, if you look in the vanilla space, probably the biggest lender in buy-to-let in the UK focuses on those non-portfolio landlords anyway, and still seems to do a good volume. Our model is slightly different. We tend to see applicants that have several buy-to-let properties. They're coming back to us continually, whether that's refinancing, purchasing, and they certainly we've seen a drive to limited companies in terms of purchases, because for a lot of people, if they're taking a tax advice, it tends to to make sense. But also we have seen, and it's been in the press over the last few months, some large incorporations of people moving a portfolio from sole name into a company vehicle.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that have taken tax advice, they've had good advice from their broker about the best lender to do that. And I think you'll see more of that over the course of the year.
And what about actual specialisation? So we've seen a lot recently about cladding, for example. Are those the sort of things that you and lenders as a group are getting together to solve the problem? Or
yeah, I mean, I think you're reliant on some guidance coming out there, and I think there was some stuff out of RICS towards the back end of last year, and I think one of the major high street lenders has actually produced some guidance on that. It is a big challenge. Obviously, with all that's happened, lenders are looking at that more carefully, particularly in higher rise, accommodation. But I think there's certainly in the background some, lender surveyor work going on to try and give a standardised approach to what's required.
I understand the whole bigger problem.
I mean,
it's actually a bigger problem than
correct.
People let out.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's your wish for 2020?
Well, hopefully we might see some red ribbons on the Premier League title, hey?
The mighty Liverpool, big supporter.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say to our audience?
No, I just think, for brokers, this is a good year. The specialist market's growing, and obviously a combination of the two biggest brands, I think, in specialist lending. And we're looking forward to working with our broker partners over the course of 2020.
Brilliant. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks
for
your
coming
time,
in.
Cheers.
That's Adrian Moloney from OneSavings Bank. I'm Dale Jones from Impact. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see some of the previous videos, they are on our YouTube channel, and the link will be on the end of this recording. Many thanks for watching, and tune in again soon.